Welcome sa first ever solo live stream ng Startup Podcast PH. So actually ang idea nito is I wanted to record a solo episode and then syempre para mukhang may kausap pa rin ako, para mukhang may ini-interview pa rin, naka-live stream din para may vibes pa rin ng may kausap. And by the way, so since live stream ito, lahat ng magko-comment dun sa post sa Startup Podcast PH live ay bibigyan natin ng shoutout. So every live stream meron tayong certain topic, and since ito ang pinakaunang live stream, ito ang inaugural live stream, ang ating topic ay top 10 startup picks of Startup Podcast PH since 2021. Since napansin ko kasi na actually naka 200 startups na-interview, and parang hindi pa ako nagbibigay ng personal opinion or parang personal views sa kung alin nga ba yung parang judgment lang din based syempre on my personal perspectives din kung sino nga ba yung top doon. And so syempre meron tayong criteria kung paano nga ba napili itong top 10 um, startups na ito. Ayan, may mga nagla-like na tayo. So ang criteria natin ang criteria ko actually itong criteria na to is nabuo ko rin over the years. So nag-start ang Startup Podcast PH 2021, and nabuo ko din itong criteria nito over the years since yung mga startup founders, and I got to talk with some accelerators or mga managers ng mga TBIs din, incubators, and even yung founders. So parang ito yung for me a balanced way on how to look at a startup, considering syempre a startup needs to be a business, a startup needs to have a level of innovation, and a startup at the end of the day needs to do something still for society. So ayan, so ano yung criteria? It's 20% sound business model. So basically yun naman ang ginagawa ng mga startups is to develop their business model, to develop a sound business model, basically to develop a profitable business model. That's 20% of the criteria on how we choose this top 10. And then 20% solid team. Basically yung founders, yung character or yung profile ng mga founders behind the startup. 20% level of innovation. So gaano sila ka nag-i-innovate, gaano kabago yung kanilang ginagawa. 20% potential for growth. So yung future na potential or future na pwedeng ma-capture na market pa. Given startups kasi usually it's a start, but malaki ang intentions niyan with regard to the economy din. And then 20% social impact. So syempre kailangan meron pa ring contribution sa society. Siguro may mga jobs na nagawa or may something good na naidagdag sa lipunan. Hindi lang syempre just to earn, but also somehow to benefit the people, in this case of the Philippines. Eh, syempre yun nga, may personal perspective ko 'to. So kasama pa rin, so may parang personal taste pa rin or personal, you may say, bias. And by the way, ang Startup Podcast PH ay nasa YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Shoutout din pala sa ating co-producers, Sprout Solutions, Aperon, and Aim High Construction App. So anong mangyayari dito? Ang gagawin natin is every 5 minutes mag-a-announce ako ng isa sa top 10. So starting with top 10, then top 9, top 8, top 7, top 6, top 5, top 4, top 3, top 2, top 1. Pero bago yun, meron din akong mga honorable mentions. So meron tayong top 10, so may 10 top 10, and then may 10 honorable mentions. So actually ang hirap mamili ng 10 and hirap mamili ng 20. So nahirapan ako magtanggal. So sana yung mga hindi nasama is wag magtampo, pero may criteria naman tayo, may objective criteria naman tayo kung bakit ito yung mga napili. So, sige, simulan ko na para sa ating honorable mentions. So, may 10 honorable mention, bukod pa to dun sa top 10. Okay, so first nating honorable mention ay si Reva Staff. So, actually si Reva Staff, they have already been a part of Idea Space Cohort 10. Ito yung special cohort ng Idea Space for actually very thriving startups, and I met them sa Cebu. So Reva Staff is actually uh, yung Reva part ng Reva Staff is actually real estate virtual assistants. Di ko na papatagalin, pero basically yung ginagawa nila, they provide virtual assistants or parang they provide the back work for real estate sellers. They help ease the job for real estate sellers, and they're actually they have a good performance so far. And that's why pasok sila sa ating actually, I'm beyond honored nga to have interviewed them, eh. So, uh, that's why I choose them sa top 20. And then yung next sa ating honorable mentions is si One CFO. So they provide CFO services and as ordinary or traditional financial services like accounting, bookkeeping, tax, payroll. Pero actually kaya din sila very interesting kasi they're introducing a new product called iSneak. So kayo na lang bahala mag-check nun, but that's basically One CFO. And then ang ating next sa ating honorable mentions ay si Tuala. So, si Tuala din, ito din yung gusto ko sa mga startups na 'to kasi most of these startups, they have a sustainable business model para meron silang, product line to have, to generate revenue sustainably, and then they're also experimenting or they're also innovating new stuff. So, si Tuala, meron siyang digital signatures and meron din silang dine-develop na in the Web3 space actually, basically using blockchain technology, parang identities in the digital world. And then ang ating fourth honorable mention, actually these are very ano, actually parang ang weird nga na I'm calling them honorable mention pero ito yung mga startups that I really look up to. So ang fourth is si Wela School Systems. They're based in Cagayan de Oro, although they have school clients all over the country, and they're basically creating or basically they develop from scratch. That's why I also like them because I know their story. They started with just three teachers, teachers lang, and now they have over 100 schools and actually over 100 employees. I went to their office and I saw their team. Ano, so they developed a school management system for schools, including yung mismong at payment systems. So magbabayad ng tuition doon na sa online. And then they also have actually sobrang dami pa, but they also do have like attendance checking, parent parang a way for parents to know how their children are doing and ano ba yung mga homeworks ng mga children, etc. And then ang ating fifth HM is si Lycan Motorcycles. So actually, they're also amazing kasi parang ang laki nung kanilang, gustong kalabanin na or gustong pasukan na market. So basically, they are producing electric vehicles na motorcycles. So imagine 'no, actually I really like them because they are the first Filipino company to really parang produce, on that kind of level, EV motorcycles. And I mean kung isipin mo 'di ba ang mga kalaban diyan is mga foreign brands, mga foreign big brands. So pero for me, of course I want to support local Filipino companies. So ayan, I'm really supportive of them. Sixth HM is si Uplift Code Camp. Actually, this one is very surprising din kasi I interviewed them back in 2021, I think. And then they changed a lot of their model, although nagsi-stay sila that they have boot camps and courses for teaching programming, teaching software development, web development, back end, front end. Pero what I liked with what they're doing now is they're actually connected with companies and businesses. So parang kunwari, this company needs this number and skill of software developers. Kumbaga parang basically they're demand based or they're industry based or they're company based on how they teach. So naka-connect na dun sa mga possible companies na pagtatrabahuhan. And they also help yung mga tinuturuan nila na mapasok sa mga companies or sa mga partner, sa mga clients or sa mga partner companies nila. So parang ano siya eh, nag-aral ng programming and then nakakuha ng trabaho na related dun sa inaral nila sa Uplift Code Camp. Pakita na to. Seventh HM is si Digest PH. So si Digest PH, they offer legal services mainly for startups, although I think wide din ang kanilang range. So basically um ang kanilang header or ang kanilang front ay yung startup law. And what I like then when I interviewed them 2 times na is meron din silang mga inner ways on how to automate yung mga contracts, ganyan. And now they're experimenting. Actually, profitable na nga yung experiment nila or innovation nila. They're also doing another line, which is yung legal research line nila, na parang kasi I think sa legal industry, sa law industry, for lawyers, for law students, malaking bagay talaga yung magre-research ka ng mga past cases, and I think that's what they're doing din, parang content for research for law practitioners, legal practitioners. And then ang ating 8 HMIC School Tech, which is an integrated school and learning management system. So what's good with them is they integrated school management system and LMS, and they also have clients na they have also quite a number of clients na. And based on my last interview with School Tech with Ursel, so they're also integrating AI and blockchain inside their system. So parang blockchain, parang identity siya eh. Parang naka-authenticate na yung transcript, I guess, and yung diploma. So hindi na siya kailangan i-verify pa isa-isa, pipirmahan pa. So blockchain is used to authenticate. And then ang ating 9th HMIC Pahatid PH. So Pahatid PH is a B2B courier service, and kung isipin natin, ang dami namang mga courier service ngayon, like I'm not sure if pwede mag-courier sa yung mga big companies, I won't mention na. Pero what's special with them is in what I observe, they have the main heart of the couriers, of the motorcycle riders. I think meron din silang bicycle riders. And surprising lang din na ang kanilang mga clients ay actually, meron silang mga celebrity clients na hindi ko alam kung paano nakuha. Pero that's kind of a big growth then for Pahatid PH. And then ang ating 10th HM, I see Scrap Cycle, which I met sa Butuan. Yeah, sa Butuan, sa Caraga State University. Their students, may graduate na sila, but they graduated in Caraga State University, and they're incubated by Navigado. Pero what I liked about Scrap Cycle PH is they're actually trash to cash. So parang basura magiging pera. Parang bibigay mo yung basura mo, magiging pera. Pero what I like them kasi when they explain to me yung business model, it actually works and it's actually functioning. So, 'di ba parang magic pa kung paano nga ba mag-work ang trash to cash eh, na parang paano nga magiging pera ang basura. Pero actually that's what junk shops do. You give them the basura, then they give you money. And then kung ano man gagawin nila sa basura, they can upcycle that or they can recycle that. So what they do is they're actually acting like a mediator then between the people and the junk shops. So and they're developing an app, and they have found like a good model to make that work and to make that beneficial for both yung mga magsusurrender ng basura and sa mga junk shop. Ayun. So, ayun ang ating 10 honorable mentions. Grabe, wala pa yung top 10, pero ang bibigat na ng mga startups na pinili natin for the top 20. Basically, yun yung parang top 11 to 20 in no particular order. So, in a bit, I'll announce ang top 10 startup picks ng Startup Podcast PH. Sige, i-shoutout na natin yung mga nagpapa-shoutout. So, merong mga nag-comment dun sa ating post. So, shoutout natin si Juniel Ray Higakit from Cheaper AF. Actually, I interviewed them sa Butuan din, sa Caraga State University. They're producing alternative feeds na cheaper kasi actually malaking cost sa mga livestock businesses, poultry and livestock farms ang feeds, so they're developing a cheaper alternative. Shoutout natin then of course si Owen Coales from Supafaya. Supafaya is, last I heard, they kind of pivoted, but they started with like a marketplace for certain collectible items. Ayan, but anyway, sige, so i-announce na natin or i-reveal na natin ang top 10 picks ng Startup Podcast PH. So we'll start with the top 10. So, for the top 10, ang ating top 10 ay si Code Cham. So, si Code Cham, I met them in Cebu. So, they're actually based in Cebu. Pero, they actually have clients, school clients in particular, all over the country din. And actually, last I saw, they already reached 100 schools. And those are paying schools, of course, ano. So actually amazing yung naging growth nila and how they built their business. But what is CodeSham in a nutshell? CodeSham, um, they're in the education industry, and they're particularly a program, or actually, what do you call this? Uh product wherein mas madali mag-assess or mag-check ng mga programming. So actually, there are 4 programming courses for programming subjects, like let's say computer science teachers, computer science teachers in college, and I guess even in senior high school, basta yung mga mayroong programming. So mahirap kasi mag-check ng code, mag-check ng program for teachers. And that's what they did. They found a way to kind of automate or to kind of make it easy to check that for teachers. So for me, kaya sila pasok sa top 10 kasi looking at our criteria, first of all, yung kanilang business model, it's more of a subscription din na parang you subscribe to them and then you get access to their program, you can use it, you can deploy it in your school. Although of course, meron diyan mga kailangan diyan ng mga support services, pero that's actually a good model kasi first of all, for startups, scalability is a big thing. And by scalability, we also mean cost efficiency. Parang you have you you have a software or you have a product, pero it can be used by you can scale the use to many paying customers. So, actually in general, I guess for startups, very good, kumbaga ang gandang model ng SaaS or subscription as a service wherein um your users can subscribe to use your service. And then, kaya din sila pasok sa ating top 10 because based on our criteria, malaking factor ang level of innovation. And it's actually quite new, and they're actually introducing, it's kind of simple na parang magche-check lang naman ng program, 'di ba? Pero come to think of it, hindi siya madaling gawin, hindi siya madaling i-develop din. And come to think of it, nagagamit siya ng maraming mga schools. So it's actually working. So yung kung paano rin nila dinevelop yung kanilang program on how to automate yung checking ng mga codes. So that's actually quite commendable then on their end. And I think meron din silang points actually for impact, for social impact, kasi they're actually helping schools enhance or parang mas marami pang maturuan ng programming, ng software development. And they're also connecting na parang maturuan yung mga estudyante or matulungan yung mga estudyante mas matuto ng programming, and nakadugtong din yun sa mabibigyan ng more jobs ang ating mga kababayan. And for potential for growth, actually, ang dami pang schools sa Pilipinas, and I guess so far sa ngayon, as far as I know, sila pa lang ang may ganitong programming assessment tool. So ayun, that's our top 10. So shout out sa CodeSham team. And then ayan, sige, so let's go na sa ating top 9. So ang ating top 9, so yun na yung top 10, 'no. So ang ating top 9 ay si Tingi Station. So ano si Tingi Station, actually when I interviewed her, si LK Kadangin, I think, may team naman sila behind Tingi Station. Pero nung una kong inexplain niya sa'kin, as in sa interview, so parang sobra akong flabbergasted or parang sobra akong amazed sa kanilang ginagawa. So anong ginagawa ng Tingi Station, they have physical stores actually in Baguio City. And then itong physical stores na ito, they sell a lot of products like liquid soap, condiment, liquid shampoos, many kinds of liquid, mga sa bahay, panglinis, meron ding mga foods, mga nuts. Pero they actually sell without packaging. or basically walang bote, walang lalagyan, they just sell yung mismong liquid or yung mismong item. So para siyang bring your own container or para din siyang refilling station ng mga sabon, ng mga shampoo. So actually kaya ako amazed din sa kanilang ginagawa kasi ang tagal na natin naiisip na ang ganitong business, ang ganitong na parang 'pag bumibili tayo ng mga sabon, ng mga shampoo, laging kasama yung packaging. For example, kasama yung paper box or kasama yung plastic container. And sobrang on the sustainability end, sobrang aksaya siya sa material na natatapon lang naman yung mga yun sa basurahan kahit na i what do you call this, ihiwalay, i-segregate mo sila, napupunta pa rin sa landfill most of these plastic containers, lalo na, paper boxes. So, lalo na kung mahirap mag-biodegrade, 'di ba? So, masakit siya sa earth. And then second reason is nakapagtaka rin, kasi when you buy that soap, when you buy that shampoo, you're actually buying also the paper box and the plastic container. So, napupunta sa tao, sa consumer, yung packaging cost na actually ang binibili mo lang naman ay yung sabon or yung shampoo. Ba't mo binibili yung papel or yung plastic, 'di ba? So, with what they're doing na para silang mga what they call themselves is also zero waste refilling sari-sari stores. So, para siyang sari-sari store in Baguio City. Meron na silang 2 branches in Baguio City. And instead of buying yung mga gamit mismo, including the container, you just buy the liquid mismo, or the sabon mismo, the shampoo mismo. So, you bring your own container din. So, parang pupunta ka doon, re-refill mo. So, meron silang when I interviewed them, nasa interview naman 'to. So, they have their suppliers naman for that. And ang galing lang din na they have grown already to 2 stores. I think there are 2 physical stores sa Baguio City. Yung isa ay malapit sa Baguio Cathedral. If I remember correctly, dun daw yung demographic daw na mga bumibili dun is more of mga foreigners, I mean mga tourists, mga travelers na imbes na bumili sa mga convenience store, ta's 'di ba yung mga tourists or mga travelers, usually naman walang dalang sabon or walang dalang shampoo, so bibili pa dun sa mismong pinuntahan na place. So they just buy there para hindi masakit sa environment. And their other branch is malapit sa market ng Baguio City. So, ayun, that's Tingi Station, and kaya sila nasa top 10, top 9 actually, kasi mataas yung kanilang points for the social impact and actually level of innovation for me mataas. And meron pa silang i-reveal daw na actually narinig ko na and na-pitch na nila sa isang event, pero very interesting. Hindi ko man isa-spoil, hindi ko na sasabihin, pero very interesting innovation or very interesting way para mas nakakatulong pa rin sa environment. But at the same time, has a good business model din. Ayan. And then ang ating top 8 ay si Zales. So si Zales, primary reason why they're in the top 10 is they have grown bootstrappingly. So they bootstrap as much as they can. And they have grew their team to around, I forgot na kung ilan ang number nila, pero around 20 to 30. Or baka more na nga, nung last na nakausap ko si Zales. So si Zales is basically, I think they'll fall on the ERP industry, pero I think meron silang particular na niche din. Basically, they have a digital sales and warehouse inventory system. And ang kinaganda rin nito kasi yung story nila, they started just as a software development company, and they had a client na kailangan ng parang back-end sales and warehouse inventory system. So they did that system for this company, and then doon sila nag-focus kasi they found out na marami palang company yung nangangailangan ng integrated sales and warehouse/inventory system. So parang it's kind of a good story then for startups na parang this kind of startup not just created their own product but followed the demand of nung company or nung client nila. And then nung gumana siya sa isang company, they scaled. So nalaman nila na pain point rin pala 'to, na challenge din pala 'to ng ibang companies. And now they have quite a number of companies that they serve, or parang quite a number of companies na ginagamit yung platform nila. And they also grew their team. So lumaki na yung kanilang number of employees to around, ayun nga. Actually, I'm not sure of the number, pero soon actually I'll go to their office, I'll meet them, pero I think around 20 to 30 or baka more pa nga. And I guess nagdadagdag sila ng employee kapag nakakakuha sila ng bagong project or parang ganun. So you grow your team as you grow your client base din. And bakit sila pasok sa ating top 10, sa ating ano, so somehow medyo traditional ang kanilang business kasi mako-consider na natin traditional ang ERP systems ano. Although amazing pa rin na actually sa Pilipinas kasi medyo huli tayo sa ERP systems, eh. I mean, what is ERP nga ba? ERP yung parang you could say, management system ng mga not just tindahan but any kind of business na parang ito yung mga orders na dumating, ito yung mga and then nakatugma siya sa ito yung inventory na nabenta doon, ito yung inventory na nasa storage pa or nasa warehouse pa. So dati kasi sobrang I mean, for example, imagine a normal sari-sari store, let's say. Parang very notebook style, eh, 'no? So sa Pilipinas medyo huli pa tayo sa technology when it comes to that. Pero the good thing with them is they're contributing to digitalizing yung inventory, sales, I guess, including financial systems din nitong mga businesses na ito ano. So kaya sila pasok, although very medyo somehow traditional pa. I mean traditional yung industry that they're dealing with. Although yung digitalizing part is actually a big innovation part, is they're actually helping SMEs. They're actually helping businesses by giving them parang digitalization upgrade kumbaga. And part din dun, I think as far as I know in terms of innovation, they're also introducing new features na talagang kailangan nung mga business na ito. So malaki yung points niya for impact kasi it's helping our SMEs, for innovation kasi they actually call themselves the next generation, or smart sales and warehouse systems. Potential for growth as part of our criteria is mataas din kasi paangat pa or parami pa ng parami ang mga SMEs na nagdi-digitalize sa Pilipinas. So that's also kind of a market that they still can capture. And by the way, as far as I know, ang ERP industry sa Pilipinas ay medyo fierce ang competition now. So ayun, but I guess as long as they capture a particular market and they keep their customers, they retain their customers, it will still be a good business. For their business model, more of ano rin naman yun, eh, kind of a I guess subscription style na parang may mga package, may mga tier. And then, although by the way, si Zales, what they mentioned to me is that, although may mga focus sila na nasa interview to, nasa episode with them sa podcast, although they have this parang fixed na mga package na ito yung package, parang s you can use our platform, ito yung mga features niya for this price. But they're also keen still on customer service or parang teaching then their clients, the SMEs, on how to really use and make benefit of their platform. Ayun. So that's our top 8. Ayun. Okay, punta tayo sa ating top 7. So si top 7 actually favorite ko 'to very recently na startup sa Pilipinas. Although medyo, you could say traditional pero they're still a startup, eh. I mean, in a way, they're not tech, they're not digital, pero they're a startup. Of course, they fall in that category. By the way, siguro kung ano nga ba ang startup, as simple as kumbaga a simple definition is, a startup is basically finding or developing a business model. It's either solving a new problem, finding a solution to a new problem, or finding a new solution to an old problem. So basically, they're solving a particular problem and they're developing a business model. So yung parang imagery ko nga dati, may pader, and then yung pader na yun nagkabutas. So mga startup, sila yung nagtatakip ng butas dun. And 'pag nagtakip ng butas dun, kailangan yung pagtakip dun sa butas na yun, naka-ensure na nakatakip talaga sustainably. So that for me is a startup in a nutshell. So 'pag may butas or may gap sa value chain ng lipunan, ng society, That's where startups come in. They fill in that gap and then they ensure na yung gap na yun ay sustainably matatakpan. Dun pumapasok yung business model na sustainable. So dapat sustainable din yung business model. With regard to tech and scalability, I believe that not all startups are tech. Mali kasi yung definition ng tech recently ng mga tao. Kasi ang definition natin ng tech is something digital, something computer. Eh, hindi naman yun ang definition ng tech. When you look back, like maybe 1960s, may mga startups na nun eh. I mean, actually, back even Stone Age, may mga startups na nun kasi may mga, or baka wala pang commerce nun, wala pang merchants nun. But I guess yung parang as basic as yung unang taong nagbenta ng bagong item or yung unang merchant na nag-imbento ng or nakaisip na magbenta ng gulong, something like that, 'di ba? So nung panahon na yun, those are technological innovations. Eh, ngayon kasi ang weird sa'tin is we only we only say tech if it's something digital. Pero ang dami ng tech, eh, may material tech, may food technology, may sustainable tech, ayun. So anyway, in terms of so that's for tech ano, for me as long as may innovation, may something new na hindi pa nagagawa dati, hindi pa nata-try dati, that's actually technology. Technology basically yung pinaka-definition niya, combination of current existing materials and systems. So 'pag nag-combine ka ng mga pare-pare ng mga current, that's technology actually. Scalability, next time na natin pag-usapan, pero I believe also that not all startups need to be scalable. Feeling ko ano lang yun, eh, parang scalability is important for profitability. Pero not all startups need to be scalable kasi you can be a startup solving a problem of a particular community. Hindi naman necessarily na you have to solve the problem for the whole world or for a big. I mean, of course you want that because that's for profitability and sustainability of business model, eh. Pero I think it's not a prerequisite. I think being scalable is not a strict prerequisite for a startup. So, ayun. Ang dami ko na sinabi about that. But anyway, ayan, shout out kay Patrick Rojas, drink water. Sige, wait, drink water muna tayo. Okay, so ating top 7 startup ay si Dulce Chocolate. So, they're actually in the food industry and they, as far as I know, as far as we know, they created the first chocolate in Benguet. And what's good with this is they're actually, ang parang main motivation din is they wanted to create a local healthy chocolate. By local healthy chocolate, meaning yung dark chocolate, mayroon naman siyang healthy aspect. And even yung mga ginagamit na sugar, and then yung mga ginagamit na ingredients, they're a healthy alternative. Ayun, so they're the first healthy chocolate, I guess, of Benguet. And come to think of it, sa Pilipinas, hindi rin naman gano'n karami yung mga chocolate creators or parang talagang locally made and locally sourced na chocolates. And what I also liked about them kasi meron silang backward integration, eh. Kasi 'di ba they're producing chocolates. And by the way, they have a store in Baguio City. I forgot the exact address pero nasa Irisan. So if you want to buy their chocolates, their dark chocolates, you can visit the store. And by the way, yung interview ko with them when I went to Baguio, so live in-person interview. Live ko habang nagre-record ako kumain ng chocolate. So nasa episode namin yung live reaction ko nung kinakain ko yung dark chocolate nila and actually sobrang sarap. I really like it. And parang yung price nga nila actually very comparable. So I've tried chocolates, actually dark chocolates in other countries, yung parang mga artisan chocolates, and I think their pricing for this is very, very affordable relative to those. Kasi they're producing chocolates and they want to have to be using locally sourced chocolates. Although problem pa daw sa Baguio City or at least sa Benguet yung mga cacao farmers kasi hindi pa gano'n ka-thriving yung mga cacao farms ano. Pero that's naging part of their job din as a startup. And with the help of DOST, if I remember correctly, nagte-train sila and nag-e-educate ng mga cacao farms on how to properly produce cacao na yun yung mga cacao na gagamitin nila for their chocolates, for their dulce chocolates. So ayun, meron silang parang ang ganda rin na ano na nakakatulong din sa mga farmers sa particular province ano or actually CAR, sa Cordillera Administrative Region. So what I liked about Dulce Chocolates and yung looking at our criteria, social impact, so yun nga, they help a lot of our farmers. Potential for growth, I think they can still capture a wide audience or a wide market ng Filipino chocolate consumers. Kasi that's the problem with Filipino consumers din sa ngayon eh. When we think of chocolate, ang naisip natin yung mga matatamis sobra na like Toblerone, KitKat. Pero those are actually, and most of them actually, although meron naman mga dark chocolates na, mga milk chocolates na gumagamit din ng sugar or sobrang daming sugar. So, ang kailangan natin ding matutunan is, or kailangan ma-appreciate at least, is yung mga chocolates na somehow, hindi naman kailangan ganun katamis, di ba? So, parang if more Filipinos eat chocolates na hindi naman ganun katamis and mahilig din sa dark chocolate, I think that's a market that they can still capture. Pero syempre labanan na yan ng marketing and distribution, pero that's another topic. And ayun, for their business model, that's basic naman na they produce their own chocolates, they locally source their own chocolates, and sa ngayon they only sell it to in the Philippines. And sa ngayon you can buy these chocolates, if I remember correctly, you can buy them online. Just go to their Facebook page and meron din silang mga resellers. So they took that business model path na they have resellers or parang may mga stores sa Baguio City because they started in Baguio City. And then those stores also sell their Dulce chocolates. And they're backed by the OST, or at least yung parang particular part na helping and training the cacao farmers. Yun. So yun ang ating top 7. So ang ating so thank you Patrick Rojas sa pag-type ng definition dito. Startup according to Johnny, developing a business model to solve an old problem with a new solution or solve a new problem with an old solution. Actually, balak ko nga magsulat ng article soon eh, na ilalagay ko papost ko sa Facebook and ilalagay ko sa website. Kasi really, for me, this is a definition so far sa aking research and sa aking mga na-interview na parang hindi pa siya na-explore na maayos. And that's the thing with definitions naman eh. Anyone can make a definition, pero ang mananatiling definition ng mundo is kung ano yung totoo at ano yung i-adapt ng mga tao. So I'll throw out this definition and then let's see what happens. Ating top 6, I see Hyperstocks Incorporated. Actually, I met them in Cagayan de Oro. They're an incubatee of CDO Bites, one of the original incubatees nung isa sa mga pinakaunang incubatee ni CDO Bites. By the way, si CDO Bites ay isa rin sa mga pinakaunang TBI sa Pilipinas. I mean, DOST TBI sa Pilipinas. And they pivoted a lot, but recently Hyperstocks, kaya sila nasa top 6. First of all, they grew their company to, I forgot the exact number, siguro mga 30, 40 employees. Sorry kung mali yung number na yun, pero yun yung naalala ko. Pero paano nila nagawa yun? They call themselves the digital banking enabler of the Philippines. Or in a nutshell, sila ang nagde-develop ng mga apps, ng mga digital banking apps ng hindi mga mainstream banks. Hindi yung mga sikat na mga BDO, BPI, Land Bank, hindi yung mga yun. Pero yung mga digital banks sa rural areas. Mga banks sa rural areas. So their clients are actually rural banks, like yung mga banks sa provinces, local banks sa provinces. And tinanong ko rin sila, Hyperstocks, si Graham actually yung I think siya yung main founder and CEO. Ano nga ba ang mga rural banks and ano nga ba ang mga ginagawa nila? They actually provide loans to the community. For example, a farmer or a fisher in a particular city, particular province, ay kailangan ng financing, kailangan ng loans. So, lumalapit sila sa mga rural banks. And so that's how, ang bank naman basically is parang nagpapaikot ng pera, di ba? So, may mga mag-i-invest and then may mga hihiram and papaikutin yung pera. So, these rural banks, they focus on their city or town or province. So ngayon, they're creating digital apps or apps para sa mga banks na ito. So imagine, I think hindi ako pwedeng magbigay ng example ng bank eh. Pero just think of a bank na yung mga bank na sa particular province mo lang makikita, they now have an app. And tinanong ko rin kasi since these banks ang kanilang mga, consumers ay mga medyo, hindi din naman gano'n ka-privileged, 'di ba? So, let's say farmers, tinanong ko rin in terms of literacy sa technology. Pero actually, most of these farmers naman, they already have access to smartphones. So, they actually use them. They actually use these, apps. And ang isa pang kinaganda nito is, ang kinaganda ng apps daw, yung mga naalala ko lang from when I interviewed them, ay kasi dati 'pag bangko ka, 'pag as in bangko ka na physical, magsasara ka ng 3 PM, something like that. Like bukas ka 9, sara ka 3. So 'pag yung farmer or 'pag yung tao pupunta dun ng 3 PM, sarado na. Simple magpapadala lang from one account to another, sarado na yung bank. So, pero kung may digital app, kung may app, kahit gabi, makakapagpadala ng pera. So that's another impact din na kanila nagawa. So ayun, so with regard to our criteria, ang impact ay mataas, I guess, kasi nga for rural banks. And then innovation is mataas din kasi they're digitalizing banking apps. And then it's actually malaki pa ang potential for growth. I guess now since they're starting in CDO, they're focusing there pero marami pa namang rural bank sa Pilipinas. Shout out kay Oscar Oganisa. So, panoorin niyo ang kanyang YouTube channel, Tech Tribe. So, search na lang Tech Tribe. Search niyo sa YouTube and I think nasa podcast apps din. In-interview ako dun ni Oscar and nakikinig din daw siya ng podcast. Hello, Oscar. Okay, next, top 5. So, top 5 is si Kahiro. So, si Kahiro ay isang, well, they also fall on the ERP industry, but they're mobile. What at least what they headline, they're a cloud-based mobile POS system. So POS meaning point of sales, and then connected yung sales point of sale system sa inventory system. And then what I like them is most of their clients or most na magagamit nila ay mga retail businesses. So imagine a restaurant or a coffee shop or a cafe. Yung pinipindot nung mga kahera o kahero. Kaya nga kahiro ang kanilang pangalan daw kasi it's a play of words din sa kahero. Basically yung pinipindot na cashier na ano po order niyo sir, ito, and then type. Pagkapasok ng order, automatically mare-record siya and then magagawa na makakaltas na sa inventory, madadagdag na yung kumbaga maka-count na siya as revenue, something like that. Nakakolekta na rin sa system nila. So for me, kaya sila top 5 kasi firstly, they have grew. They're actually also from CDO and they already grew to a lot of clients. If I remember correctly, hundreds na. If I remember correctly, yun yung nakita ko sa kanilang pitch deck. All over the country. So, how they do that is, meron din sila actually counterpart sa Manila, sa Quezon City. So, actually, when I interviewed them, back in 2022 pa, I guess, or 2023. That's 2023. In-interview ko si Melody, who's based in CDO, and si Christian, who's based in Quezon City. So, ang layo ng, since malaking team nila, ganun yung usapan namin sa interview noon. So, that's Kahiro. Medyo simple, medyo traditional din kasi they belong on the normal retail industry. Pero since they're creating software, actually, this software is also working on mobile. Their POS system, imagine 'di ba usually when you go to mga restaurants, let's say, sige sabihin natin Jollibee, they have their own computer eh. Ito nagwo-work sa mobile, nagwo-work sa kahit saang cellphone. Imagine that 'di ba? So kahera ka or kahero ka, cellphone ka lang, hindi mo kailangan ng computer, you have that POS system. And 'pag may umorder sa'yo, i-type mo dun sa app mo, dun sa mobile app mo, masasama siya sa buong system. So kahit sa cellphone gumagana siya. So hindi na rin kailangan ng mga specialized computer. Puwede na siyang ma-deploy even if cellphones lang ang meron sa mga kahera or kahero, 'di ba? So, ayun, I mean, for me yung pagiging cloud-based, that's a normal naman eh. Hindi ko nga alam kung bakit laging binibida ngayon ng mga startups yung pagiging cloud-based, for me normal na yun eh. For me mas dapat ibida dito yung pagiging mobile POS nila eh. Kasi ano siya, sobrang accessible. Even for starting SMEs, starting businesses na hindi pa gano'n kalaki yung pera to invest in specialized computers, they can already have a a working POS system na connected nga sa kanilang inventory, sa kanilang financials, etc. Ayan, so sige, okay lang mas matagal, mas mataas ang ranking, so mas dapat mag-expound. Pero I guess yun ang masabi ko sa Kahiro. In terms of our criteria, their business model is actually para din silang subscription ano eh, kasi most of the apps naman is subscription type eh, na parang their mobile app is out there, you I think meron silang free version. Meron silang free version if I remember correctly. And then in order to expand yung number of users or number of branches then, by the way, pwedeng connected yung mga branches if I remember correctly, doon ka na magbabayad. So, ayun. And may point din sila for social impact kasi they're also helping, ang priority nila is mga MSMEs eh. So, they're also helping the MSME industry or our MSME economy. Correct, clouds are normal. So kaya nga ano, eh, 'pag may nagsasabi sa'kin na startup na ilagay ko daw sa title yung cloud-based, minsan hindi ko nilalagay, eh, kasi hindi naman for me hindi naman siya dapat ilagay and for me parang it's kind of normal and dun na papunta naman lahat. As long naman as meron kang online database or parang online storage, you're gonna be using cloud, eh. So, ayun. By the way, salamat sa mga dumaan sa live. Nakailang views na tayo. Marami-rami na rin at meron pang mga taong nandito. Anyway, so ang ating top 4 startup ay actually itong top 4 na 'to ano na, ito na yung top 4 favorite ko talaga. Based on my point of view lang naman and based on the criteria. So ang top 4 ay si Hire Payroll. So si Hire Payroll, so I interviewed them, actually si Carl, online lang when they were a part of Ideaspace Cohort 10 din. Yung Cohort 10 ng Ideaspace is yung special cohort nila na parang they accelerate startups who are really scaling. So si Hire Payroll, why I like them, if I remember correctly, yung story nila, they also started as a software development company. And then meron nagpagawa ng payroll system sa kanila. So kind of traditional, kind of normal, digitalizing or creating a payroll software. Pero what surprised me is yung kanilang payroll and how they headline themselves is they're the most configurable payroll system in the Philippines. Kasi when he explained it to me, kakaiba ang industriya o kakaiba ang job, kakaiba ang payroll schemes sa Pilipinas, lalo na yung mga dahil sa mga night shift natin, marami tayong mga night shift, lalo na dahil sa mga BPO, sa mga call center na paiba-iba ng shift. May mga graveyard shift, may mga normal day shift. So yung mga traditional payroll systems, even if digital yan, hindi yun configurable for those complex wage paying systems. So, ang kinaganda sa Hire Payroll, they're the most configurable nga. They can adapt or they can be flexible sa kung paano man yung pagpasok ng mga empleyado dun sa company. And yung mga special mga special wage or laws or mga regulations na yung mga magko-commute ka ng mga night shift multiplier, ng mga holiday multiplier, and other multipliers. So kumbaga nakapasok sa payroll system nila yun. And ayun, so it's very simple actually. Actually, yung top 10 ko mga medyo simple eh. Walang mga bonggang startups eh. They're very simple and most of them bootstrapped and most of them started with clients and unti-unti na-grow. Pero kaya ko sila nasa top 10 kasi they grew their team. Si Hire Payroll din, they grew their team to a number. I forgot how many pero for sure more than 10, maybe 20, mga around ganun. And ayun din, so patuloy pa rin sila na gumagawa, nagde-develop at mine-maintain at pina-manage yung payroll systems nila for their clients. Actually, magkakaroon kami ng part 2 podcast episode soon. Pupunta ako sa office nila, I'll interview them and abangan ang episode na yun. So, they're high actually on my selection kasi sa criteria ko actually yung mataas-taas yung level of innovation, just although simple yung ginawa nila na they're very configurable. Pero that's a big innovation na, kasi that's a big adaptation to the clients, and how they tweak their software is already a big innovation. Kumbaga, potential for growth malaki pa, impact marami ng mga local businesses na kumbaga complex yung kailangang payroll systems. So, ayun. Ayan, may mga nagko-comment na ulit. Sige, mag-shoutouts muna tayo. Shoutout kay partner, kay Idol Felix Veroya, CEO and founder of AskTextPage Academy, na ating e-learning partner. So, sige, shoutout muna natin sila. They offer e-learning courses and even certification programs like Lean Six Sigma, Black Belt, Yellow Belt, Green Belt. They also have project management certifications and data science certifications, if I remember correctly. Shoutout din kay Rachel Uy, wow, hello, of Airship Logistics. I interviewed Rachel, matagal na. I remember na, noong 2022. Yes, early 2022. So, Airship Logistics, and then I'll interview her again soon. So, abangan natin ang update sa kanila. Anyway, top 3 na tayo. So, top 3. Ang ating top 3 ay si Meds Go. Okay, so unahin ko na 'to. Si Meds Go ay, well, basically they're an online and offline pharmacy. They call themselves, ano nga ba yun? Parang I forgot the term, pero since they're both online, they're an online pharmacy, so parang you can order online and then it will be delivered to you, and they also have local stores, they have physical stores, ano. Ang naging issue dito when I was thinking kung top 3 ko ba siya, kasi top 3 ko talaga ang meds ko, kasi they're very fast, and then they're doing a lot of impact, and then they introduced online pharmacy or online medicine buying sa Pilipinas. Ang naging issue lang kasi yung founder is not a Filipino. He's actually a Russian, although matagal na sila, actually dalawa yung co-founders pala, parehong Russian. Although si Alex na dito sa Pilipinas nakatira, kaya niya sinart yung meds go kasi nagkaroon daw siya ng infection, I think sa ear or sa eye when he is in the Philippines. Nahirapan siya maghanap ng gamot. So nakita niya yung challenge na yun. Nasa Pilipinas siya, nakatira siya sa Pilipinas for another work. And hindi siya makabili ng gamot. That's why he started MedsGo. And it grew. Puntahan nyo yung website sa medsgo.ph, if I remember correctly. It's actually a wide selection then of over-the-counter medicines. And ang isang kinaganda pa sa kanilang ginagawa, since ang mahirap kasi when it's an online pharmacy, yung logistics, yung distribution. Like for example, taga Cavite ka, then bibili ka sa online store. Posible mangyari na manggagaling pa sa Fairview, kung Fairview man yung warehouse, yung medicine, edi ang tagal pa nun, 'di ba? Eh sila, since meron silang mga physical stores, yun na rin yung mga nag-a-act na mga warehouse or mga distributors for online buyers. So they have an online store, they have local stores, but when you buy in the online store, pwedeng posibleng manggaling yung gamot doon sa pinakamalapit na physical store near you. If I remember correctly, ang kanilang main office or main store ay nasa Mandaluyong City, malapit sa Greenfield. Gusto ko nga mag-vlog doon so baka mag-vlog ako doon one of these days. Anyway, back to the issue-ish na ang co-founders ay Russian, not Filipino. Napaisip din ako kasi may nakita akong post dati, hindi ko na sabihin kung saan at kung sino, pero may post na, ano nga ba ang definition ng Philippine startup or Filipino startup? Should it be a Filipino founder? Should it be registered in the Philippines? Blah, 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 blah. Pero may sagot ako. So, syempre, lagi ako may sagot, lagi ako may definition. Anong definition ko ng Filipino startup? It doesn't matter if it's a Filipino founder. It doesn't even matter if it's registered in the Philippines. Well, dapat, I guess, kasi may operations. Pero, I mean, it doesn't matter if ang HQ ay sa Philippines. Pero, what matters is, Pilipinas ba ang nag-benefit? Mga Pilipino ba ang nag-benefit? So, mga Filipino consumers ba ang nag-benefit? And then, yung nakakatulong ba siya sa Filipino economy or sa Filipino SMEs? So, that's my definition. As long as pasok dun, for me, that's a Filipino startup. So, I can proudly say, or I can definitely say that MedsGo is a Filipino startup. Kasi of course, andito sa Pilipinas, sa Manila yung mga stores, and yung mga consumers ay mga Pilipino. Actually, nagulat din ako nung when I posted that Meds Go episode sa podcast kasi ang tumataas organically yung views niya hanggang ngayon. And 'pag nakikita ko nanggagaling siya sa Google search and minsan nga nagko-comment pa yung mga iba, na dun sa YouTube mismo, nagko-comment na, "Meron po bang gamot?" Ganyan, "Meron po bang ganitong gamot?" Dun sa YouTube mismo. So, dun ko rin nakikita kung ano, kung anong mga startups yung parang ang lakas din ng demand from the consumers. So, with regard to our criteria, super pasok sa impact, pasok sa level of innovation kasi they were able to deploy and run online pharmacy together with their local stores, local pharmacies, I mean their physical pharmacies, and yung business model nila. Kasi um, it's working eh. They were able to make it work na merong online pharmacy. So, siyempre merong certain pricings diyan na if you're gonna buy it online may patong, pero for the convenience naman 'di ba of hindi ka na lalabas sa traffic, made-deliver na sa'yo, I think that's worth it naman for many of us. So, and by the way, si MedsGo ay incubated, not incubated, basta part sila ng Founders Launchpad Cohort 1. And kaya ko sila na-interview kasi we're also partners with Founders Launchpad. Shoutout natin si Founders Launchpad. They're somehow new investor/accelerator/incubator sa Pilipinas na very hands-on actually ang approach. And they're already on their cohort 3 now, kung tama pagkaalala ko. And they're also one of our partners. So, yung kanilang mga startups ay sometimes, hindi lahat pa pero napapadala naman sa podcast. So, ayun. Next, top 2. Yan, last 2 na tayo. Top 2 ay si Magway, which I think hindi naman surprise kasi lagi ko silang pino-post sa Facebook. So si Magway, they're basically a sustainability focused startup. Right now, one of their main products is their sustainable or their reef safe sunscreens. So sunscreen as in yung pinapahid sa katawan na pamprotekta sa araw. And ang parang main reason why they started Magway kasi yung mga traditional na mga or yung mga dating mga sunscreens ay may chemicals na nakakasakit, nakakaapekto sa mga coral reefs or sa dagat, sa marine life. Ang Pilipinas pa naman very ano tayo 'di ba, archipelago tayo malapit sa dagat. So, sobrang dangerous kung gumagamit ang mga tao, mga Pilipino, even mga tourists, mga travelers ng sunscreens na may chemicals pala na nakaka-affect sa mga isda, sa mga coral reefs 'di ba. So, they made their own. And take note, they're Filipinos. So we have actually a Filipino reef safe sunscreen. And what's amazing is now available na sila sa ilang mga Watsons stores. So, ang galing nun kasi parang napasok nila yung mainstream. For me, that's the amazing thing for this kind of startups. Pasukin ang mainstream. Kasi nasa mainstream, yung nasa mga department stores or let's say Watsons nga, ay kaya sila nandun sa mga stores na yun kasi those, for example, si Watsons, si SM, they think and they agree that this is gonna bring them profit. This is gonna be profitable. So, 'di ba, the fact na napasok nila yung mainstream retail mode na yun is actually a big leap for them kasi they're available on certain, not all daw, pero certain Watson stores. And with regard to their business model, nasa ano rin naman 'to, nasa recent interview ko with Sar Carbonell of Magway, they also have resellers. So, ilang mga resorts, actually sa mga resorts, binebenta yung Magway. And by reseller meaning, hindi yun yung parang 'pag nakabenta yung resort, they will get a profit. Binibili nung resort sa kanila, so they already profit, they already have revenues, and then yung resort ibebenta separately. And then ang kinaganda rin nun na nasa resort sila kasi sometimes nga 'pag may mga tourists or may mga travelers na nasa let's say Boracay or let's say Siargao, tapos magsa-sunscreen, at least hindi na madaling makakita, so accessible na rin ang reef safe or sustainable sunscreens, 'di ba? And then they already expanded their product line. So bukod sa sunscreen, meron na rin silang shampoo bars and towels na sustainable din ang packaging and um ayun, they choose the ingredients or the what do you call them, the materials na environmental friendly. And by the way, sariling gawa nila yung recipe or yung ano. So they also have a chemist in their team. Ang ganda nga nakwento sa akin ni Tsar dun sa episode ko with her, yung kwento on how they started really. So they got a chemist, they have formulations, and then they have a toy manufacturer to manufacture their recipe. And then that's what they sell. Dumaan pa yan sa napakaraming mga test. So parang ito yung mga startups talaga na gusto kong supportahan din eh. Kasi these are homegrown, and kaya din kasi minsan walang mga local versions yung mga ganitong products kasi mahirap naman talaga yung pinagdadaanan ng mga ganitong product para mapunta sa mainstream. Like sila, ang daming test na dinaanan, business model developing, ang dami, pero they're still striving and they're actually revenue generating. They're actually profitable, they're actually earning ano. So that's very commendable for them. And for me, very commendable nga na they're a sustainable product, a sustainable startup, pero hindi sila nasa mga bazaar lang. Hindi sila considered a special thing na parang bibilihin mo dahil sustainable. Bibilihin mo kasi nasa mainstream na sila. And that for me is why they are top 2. Kasi napasok nila yun. So ayun, I think obvious naman sa ating criteria, no? Pasok sila sa social impact, for the sustainability aspect, for the level of innovation. Kasi although this is not digital tech, this is material tech and sustainable tech. And actually, parang personal care tech. And for their business model, I think ang ganda rin nun na napasok nila ang Watsons tsaka yung mga resellers na resorts. And finally, ang ating top 1. Grabe, lagpas 1 hour na tayo. Hindi ko akalain lalagpas to ng 1 hour. Ang ating top 1 ay si Mata Technologies. So, ayun. So, si Mata Technologies, I interviewed them first because they were a part of the Kubo Arise program back in 2022 I guess or 2023 I guess. So ano ang Mata Technologies? They're a Filipino company. They're bootstrapping. They're based in Cebu. They are producing virtual 3D maps for a number of clients like for the tourism industry. So yung mga tourist spots, they actually create virtual maps for that. Para ma-imagine ng mga nakikinig, parang yung sa mga kiosk sa mga SM, yung parang yung iba dun may mga 3D maps na rin eh. Parang ganun. Pero imbes na SM, imbes na mall, tourist spots. For example, meron akong interview with Mata Technologies when I went to Cebu. I interviewed Erica again. Nag-demo kami, nag-showcase kami ng mga products nila. They have, for example, 3D map ng museum, yung Gorordo Museum sa Cebu. So they captured the exact museum, then you can see, pwede kang pumasok sa room, pwede mong makita yung paligid, pwede mong i-move 3D, i-move 360 degrees para makita yun. They also have that for yung sa parang sa Cebu yung shrine ni Lapu-Lapu or ni Magellan, Magellan pala, sa malapit sa parang simbahan sa bayan. So they also have 3D map for that. And they also have 3D map of islands. If I remember correctly, hindi ko maalala yung island mismo eh. Pero nasa interview ko with her, I forgot the name. Somewhere in Quezon. But ayun, you have the view of the island from above, then pwede ka pumasok, lumapit para makita mo yung island. Ang isa pang kinaganda na naalala ko dito na what they said na they also created 3D map for a certain parang housing project ng isang organization. So now the organization can actually see in 3D kung paano nga ba nabibuild yung fina-fund nila na housing. So that's actually very very interesting and very exciting. And then ang pag-alala ko, they also have clients na real estate as in mga housing projects, even if I remember correctly mga resorts parang ganun. And then basically mga pwedeng puntahan ng travelers in a different place. Kasi yun naman yung parang pinaka-rational of why. By the way, these 3D maps are available on their website or yung website nung client, 'di ba? So parang ang main na ginagawa ng Mata Technologies is or ang main na value ng 3D maps is bago pumunta yung tao dun, makikita na in 3D para at least alam na yung pupuntahan niya. Or kung hindi man siya makakapunta, parang nakapunta na rin siya. Pero basically para siyang to improve the tourism experience or in the case nga kanina, to improve the parang mas na-connect yung funder ng housing dun sa housing. So bakit sila nasa top 1 ko? Kasi this is actually a very, very high level technology. Yung paggawa ng virtual maps, yung pag-map, yung pag-pictures, they even use drones, pag-picture nung buong paligid, pag-render or paggawa sa kanya sa 3D, 360 degrees, and paggawa ng final product na 3D map. That's actually very high technology. And it was done, this company is built by a Filipino company, and as far as I know, they don't get, or they bootstrap. Basically, they didn't get much external funding. They just start with their own network. So I can't imagine, yun yung amazing sa kanila kasi they were able to build and develop a high level technology of a startup, but they use their own money. So they have full control, or they at least they have majority control kung paano mag-work ang kanilang company. That's why they are focusing nga daw on LGUs din, on basically Filipino entities, Filipino organizations, Filipino tourist spots, Filipino businesses. Ang pagkaalala ko, what they do is they talk with an LGU. So main customer din nila yung mga LGU na gusto nga magkaroon ng 3D maps for the tourist spot in that LGU's area. So for example, in Cebu, kausap ng LGU ng Cebu para gawa ng 3D maps. So ang clients nila ay mostly LGUs, but if I remember correctly, they also have private entities. But ayun, kaya sila top 1 kasi ayun nga, I'm really amazed na parang ang inspiring din na kaya pala ng mga Pilipino gumawa ng gano'n. Kaya ng Cebuano gumawa ng gano'n, na it's a high-tech product and they did not require external funding, or at least as much as possible they bootstrap. So sa criteria natin, social impact, actually pasok sila kasi they're helping the tourism industry of the Philippines. Potential for growth, right now covered nila ang I mean, they have many 3D maps of Cebu, pero ang dami pang LGU sa Pilipinas na pwede nilang tulungan. And by the way, yung team nila, they have a huge team na rin, so they can pay, they can finance their team. They have interns din daw, and they're also hiring interns pa to help parang sa mga mapping. So usually kasi parang project-based yung mga on how they do the maps. Nasa interview ko naman to with Erica. Once they have a project, ipapadala yung team dun, and then magma-mapping ng buong area, and then babalik. That's when they do the 3D maps. By the way, ang website is mata.ph. So they're Mata Technologies. Level of innovation, I give them a full 20% or a full 100%. And then business model, actually goods din kasi they parang na-discover nila yung certain price na papayag yung mga LGU, and they still are able to fund they're still able to fund their operations. And ayun, so ayun ang ating top 10. So recap lang natin mabilis. So ang ating top 10 ay sila Codecham, Tingi Station, Zales, Dulce Chocolates, Hyperstocks, Kahiro, Higher Payroll, Medsgo, Magway, and Mata Technologies. So di ko na isa-isahin yung kanilang mga website, pero pag pinost ko 'to, by the way, sa YouTube and Spotify, I'll put na lang sa description yung mga links ng mga startups na ito. Ayun, so yun na ang ating first ever solo live stream. So masaya din pala kahit na parang wala akong kausap, although may mga nagko-comment naman. Pero actually ang gusto ko lang talaga dito is for me to reflect din and to parang absorb din talaga na grabe 200 na yung startups na na-interview ko. So parang gusto ko lang din isipin ulit, how should I look at them talaga on an objective point of view, although di ko maiiwasang maging subjective pa rin, pero as much as possible, I view them objectively. And ayun, so sana nag-enjoy yung mga nanood at ang mga makikinig pa nito when we publish this on our YouTube and Spotify. So salamat sa inyo, salamat sa lahat na nandito. Bye-bye.